Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Ford, and I'm with Housing and Residential Life, and I want to welcome you to our Financial Literacy and Housing Obligations webinar today, really focus on your paying for housing options. With every presentation we do, I like to start off with a little bit about our housing mission, because we're truly more than a place for you just to be and live on campus. We really work to foster your student learning and success outside of the classroom in a safe, comfortable, convenient, and supportive facility and environment. And so with that, I would like to introduce our co-presenters today. We have Tricina Dean Motley, who's an Assistant Director with Housing and Dining Services within the Office of Housing and Residential Life. And then Joyce Stephenson, who's an Assistant Director with the Office of Student Financial Aid. So with that, I'll hand it over to Tricina. All right, just a moment. So today we're going to talk a bit about understanding your financial obligations, where you can find your bill, the payment options that you have, understanding your financial aid and aid package, as well as some of the outstanding financial aid requirements that people commonly get hung up on. And so, oh, it looks like I need to.
Okay, that's better. Thank you, Nick. I was like,
about that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tricina Dean Motley. Like Nick said, I'm Assistant Director here in the Housing Operations, and thank you for joining us today. So today, topics we will cover understanding your financial obligations, finding your bill, payment options, understanding your financial aid, and outstanding financial aid requirements. Choosing to live on campus is an investment in your college experience, like signing a lease to an apartment or a new car. Signing your license agreement enters you into an academic year-long contract. Students are financially responsible for payment of all housing and dining charges by the published due dates. Your housing and dining fees are billed by semester, fall and winter. Your housing and dining fees are part of your student account. Therefore, you will see these charges on your e-bill along with the tuition and other fees. You are responsible for all charges to the end of your license agreement, which is May 5th, 2022. You can find the information about cancellations processed by going to www.housing.wayne.edu, resident resources, your obligation, cancellation process. All requests to cancel your license agreement must be completed online through your housing self-service portal. Select the 2122 resident hall and apartment cancellation request form. Review the cancellation terms and sign and answer all the questions. Your request will be reviewed by the Office of Housing and Residential Life, and you will receive an email to your WSU email account. Now we're going to talk about where you can find your student bill. The student e-bill only generates once a month and is a snapshot of what the account looked like on that day. The student account summary shows account activity in real time. Wayne State University communicates student tuition and fee billing information electronically using your e-bill. Registered students can access their e-bill statement by logging into Academica. New e-bill statements are prepared on the first business day of each month and available for students viewing and printing online a day later. A notification is sent to each student's WSU email account when a new e-bill is available online. The email notification will include a greeting, some information about the billing statement, and a link to Academica where the new e-bill is available. No sensitive student information will be emailed in the notification. Okay, so we have several payment options if you want to pay your tuition and housing bill. There are several ways to pay your student account: financial aid and or scholarships, tuition assistance programs, electronic checks or ACH transactions, credit cards. And I'd like to remind you that there is a convenience fee when making payments with a credit card. You can also make payments by mail, check, money order, or cashier's check made payable to Wayne State University. And you can mail that to WSU Cashier's Office, PO Box 02788, Detroit, Michigan 48202. For international students, you can do an international wire transfer to Flywire. Domestic wire transfers, please to be sure to contact the cashier's office for banking information and specifications when doing a transfer. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jen.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Joylyn Stevenson. I'm an assistant director in the Office of Student Financial Aid, and I'm going to talk a little bit about financial aid today. Financial aid is normally something that our students use to help with the cost of housing. So we figure we can go through here, and if you have any financial aid questions, you can definitely ask in the chat, or at the end, you can definitely throw them out our way as well. So just to get started, one of the most common questions that we receive is, what exactly is financial aid? So like I said a minute ago, financial aid is something that you can use to help with the cost of housing, but the real definition of it, funds that a student and their families can use to help with the cost of college. So this is split up into different types. So there are grants and scholarships. Those are some of the premium awards, I would say, because those funds do not have to be repaid. Whatever you get, that's yours. You do not have to repay it. And then there's also student loans and work study. That's what we call self-help aid, because that is aid that you either have to earn or pay back. So loans are something that you have to pay back, and it can come from federal or private sources. And then there's also something called work study, and that's job opportunities within the university that you work and you earn money. This is a need-based award, so that means that not everyone qualifies for it. But what that is, many of our jobs on campus are work study. Like we have work study students in our office, pretty sure housing has work study students, so on and so forth. But it's a good opportunity to work, and you get paid every 2 weeks, much like we do working at Wayne State. And you're able to use that for one-off costs. So for instance, let's say you need to pick up a course pack for a book, or you need to get food or something to eat or something like that. That's money that you can use towards these expenses that occurred throughout the semester. So how do you apply for federal aid? So hopefully many of you have completed your free application for federal student aid. If you have not yet completed that, it's not too late. So what you want to do is go to FAFSA.gov, make sure you put in our school code, get that going. And we encourage all students to file a FAFSA because the information is used to calculate the expected family contribution. That is basically how we award financial aid to our students. Even some private scholarships require you to file the FAFSA, and it is required for federal and state aid. So if you plan on receiving money from any of those sources, this is a must-do form. So after you apply for financial aid, how do you know what's been awarded? How do you know if you need to complete anything, XYZ? You would get all that information from Academica. So if you go into Academica, on the left-hand side under student resources, you'll find a link for the financial aid portal. So if this is not your first year, this may be new to you as well, because even our second, third, fourth year students, it changed over, it switched. There's no longer the financial aid section and the links that you used to get from directly from Academica. You go into this financial aid portal. After you go in there, you'll see different tabs where you'll be able to access different information. So for instance, we have highlighted here what requirements you would need to fulfill. You would see that on your home screen. If you want to view and accept your awards, you would see that under the award offer. If you receive messages from us, you would see that under notifications. That's how you'll know if we need additional information from you, so on and so forth. So this is what you would go into, and then you want to make sure in the top right corner, you're going to see the aid year. So you want to make sure that it's highlighting the proper aid year. So for this current fall, you want to make sure that that says the 21-22 academic year or award year, and that's how you'll be able to see your requirements, your aid, and any messages that you'll need to fulfill for next year. So like I said, on that home screen, that's where you're going to see your student requirements. If you go in there and you see anything that you need to do, you can click on the link to complete the requirements. Many of our forms are electronic. You can sign in using your Access ID and password, complete your portion of the form. If we need your parents' information, you're able to put in their information and send it over to them where they can go ahead and complete their portion to the form. And then it sends it directly to us once that complete. I know that some of you may have been familiar with the process called verification. This year, verification has been waived by the Department of Education. So you may look and see that some requirements on your account have been waived, meaning that we're not asking for them anymore. Or you may see that we're asking you for additional information. That means that if you did turn in something, per federal regulations, we had to review it. And if we see anything that's conflicting between your FAFSA and the documentation that you turned in, we might reach out for some additional information in order to clear that up. So make sure that you review that. And if you have any outstanding requirements, turn those into us as soon as possible, just to ensure that you'll receive a timely fall disbursement. So after you do your requirements, you completed your FAFSA, how do you know what you're awarded? So if you're a first year student, you probably received an award letter in the mail. If you are a second year, third year transfer student, you probably received an email that states that you can see your award in Academica. If you didn't receive either of those, if you log into Academica, and like I said earlier, go to the Your Award tab, you'll be able to see your award. Now, when you're looking at your award, you may see different types of aid. You may see the grants and the scholarships. Like I said earlier, that's that free money that you will not have to pay back. Scholarships can be split up into institutional scholarships and private scholarships. If you were awarded a private scholarship, but you don't see it on your account, that must mean that A, you haven't sent it over to us yet. So you want to make sure that you send us over to the cashier's office, or B, that we've received it and we are just getting it processed and placed on your account. You may also see a tuition pledge amount on there. That's where you might see Heart of Detroit, Wayne Access, Born to Be a Warrior, Detroit Promise. You might see that on your award. You may also see a work study award, or you may see different types of loans. Students who complete the FAFSA, they can be awarded subsidized and or unsubsidized loans. And then also there is another option for loan funding, which I'm going to talk about in the middle, and that is going to be the Parent Plus loan. So like I said, there are two different types of loans. There are subsidized loans and unsubsidized loans. Normally, if I was in person, I would ask which loan's the better loan, because it's really cool to hear everyone pretty much gets the right answer. The right answer is the subsidized loan. The subsidized loan is the better loan, and that is because interest does not accrue on that loan while you are enrolled in school. So that means that a $2,000 loan that you may borrow your freshman year will be a $2,000 loan when you enter repayment 6 months after graduation, because as long as you're enrolled at least half time, that loan will not accrue interest. Another loan, the other loan that students may be eligible for, you might see, is the unsubsidized loan. And with that loan, interest does accrue on it once it's paid out to your account. However, we do understand that that is something that a lot of our students may have to utilize in order to make sure that they can pay for their tuition fees, housing costs, so on and so forth. The two loans, they currently have an interest rate of 3.73%, and that's fixed. That's over the lifetime of the loan, and the loan fee of an origination fee of 1.057. So that means that 1.057 of your loan, when it pays out to you, goes back to the federal government, and that's their fee for administering the loans. So something that's really important is that while you may have these two loans, the amount that you're going to receive is pretty much set for whatever your grade level is. So you are eligible as a freshman student, a freshman dependent student, to receive up to $5,500 in a combination of subsidized and unsubsidized loans. As a sophomore student that's dependent, $6,500 mix between a subsidized and unsubsidized loans. If our junior students, it's a mix of $7,500 between subsidized and unsubsidized. For independent students, the amounts, we have the amounts there is $9,500 for independent students. Freshmen, $10,500 for sophomore independent students, excuse me, and $12,500 for junior independent students. So while these are options to help you pay towards your college costs, we just like to put these amounts here to let you know that it's not an unlimited purse that you can reach in and keep borrowing loan money. The federal government has set a limit as to how much you can receive per aid year to help towards your cost of college. Now, the other loan that I mentioned earlier and that I wanted to talk a little bit more about is the Parent Plus loan. The Parent Plus loan is an option for some of our students who maybe after they view their award package and they need some additional funding to help with making sure that they can pay for the cost of their college costs, so housing, tuition fees, so on and so forth. This is an option that the parent will borrow on behalf of the student. So parents, they have to apply for this loan. It's different from the FAFSA. You still have to do the FAFSA, but there's an additional applications that parents have to complete. It is going to be there is going to be a credit check on the parent. So not all students are guaranteed to receive this loan. So if, for instance, a parent applies and they're approved, they can say how much money they would like to receive, and that money cannot go above the student total cost to attend the university. However, if a parent applies and they are not approved, they do have the option to seek an endorser, which is like a cosigner to help get that loan. Or if they decide to not pursue an endorser, the student would be eligible to receive additional unsubsidized loan funding between either $4,000 or $5,000 based on whatever their grade level is. So if a parent does decide to do this and they borrow loans, the loan right now has a fixed interest rate of 6.28%. And that loan fee that I mentioned earlier that it's taken out when it pays out and it goes back directly to the federal government to pay for the servicing fee. That origination fee is 4.28%. So when you're looking at your different options and you're saying, okay, I am going to estimate my costs and I'm going to accept the aid that I need, how do you do that? So you can accept your aid in the award offer tab in your financial aid portal. So it's pretty important that you only borrow what you need. Grants and scholarships are going to be accepted automatically for you, and they will pay out to your account as long as you are registered and the proper amount of credits and you have fulfilled all of your requirements. Now, if you do want student loan funding, so if you want a subsidized or an unsubsidized loan, you will have to go in and accept that under this award offer tab. You can accept the full amount or a partial amount, but just note that whatever you accept, it's going to be split between the fall and winter semesters. So if you say I need $1,000 and you accept $1,000, that means that you're going to get $500, excuse me, for the fall and $500 for the winter. However, let's say you say, okay, I need $1,000 for the fall, my classes and everything, my housing, it may be the same in the winter. So I'm going to accept the $1,000 for the winter too. So when you accept that $2,000, it's going to be split between fall and winter. Understand that after you accept your loan amount, if you say, hey, I need more or I need less, there are forms that you can complete on our website that will allow you to change that loan amount. So finally, before we kick it over to the questions, I'm just going to go over some important dates and deadlines. Tuition and fees, the first bill for tuition and fees, including housing and dining, that's due on August the 15th. Late fees are assessed on September the 16th, excuse me. The installment payment plan due dates, it changes between August, September, October, and November, and you would have the chance to sign up for those. Whichever one you sign up for, just understand that with the payment plan, you are taking your balance and breaking it down over a certain amount of payments. So the earlier you sign up, the less your payments will be because you're spreading it over a longer amount of time. So if you know you want to do a payment plan, you would contact our student accounts receivable office, or there's also information on the student accounts receivable website as to how to sign up. And you would be able to complete that and get signed up for a payment plan. And then Finally, the fall disbursement, we begin paying out fall disbursements on August the 23rd. So it's very interesting because you see here that the bill is due August the 15th and financial aid doesn't pay out August 23rd. So if you are receiving enough financial aid to cover your balance, then that is something that you don't really have to worry about, because once financial aid pays out, it's going to pay directly towards your costs. However, if there is a difference between what you're receiving for financial aid and how much you owe, that's where you want to make the decisions of how you're going to pay that difference. And that's where you will want to have that taken care of by August the 15th. So for instance, if you're writing a check or making a cash payment, or you're reaching out to MESP or MET or whatever it may be to pay your tuition or housing costs, you would want to arrange that by August the 15th. If you are, hey, you know what, I'm going to do a Parent Plus loan, I'm going to look into an alternative loan, whatever it may be, you have those options. And once you get those taken care of, those will pay out to your account starting August the 23rd. So if you have enough financial aid to cover your balance, you don't really have to worry about this August the 15th date. But if you do not have enough financial aid to cover your balance, you want to figure out what the difference is and make a plan for taking care of that balance. That's everything that I have. I'm going to kick it back over to Nick for questions that we can go through and get answered.
Yeah, thank you, Tristina and Joy. So there have been quite a few questions that have come in, and one I want to answer before we move on is if there was to be another COVID lockdown, if you would still be permitted to live in campus housing, or if you would get a refund. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, housing and dining have remained continuously open for all students who needed a place to live, and we currently plan on doing that for this academic year as well. And so you would not get a refund for living on campus if guidance changes that may put us closer to a lockdown that we experienced early in the pandemic. So with that, I want to jump back to some of the financial aid and payment questions. And so let's see. And this is a good question for you, Joy. If my daughter's award letter indicated a specific aid for all 4 years, does she need to reapply for FAFSA each year?
Yes, you will need to apply for FAFSA every year. It is not a one and done type application. You would want to apply every year. The application opens up on October 1, and once October 1 comes around, you can go ahead and get it filled out. It uses income information from 2 years ago. So that way, for instance, the October date for this year for 2023, which is very weird to say. So for 2022, 2023, for that academic year, it is going to utilize financial information from the 2020 tax year. So most of us have already filed our taxes. So you can go on, pull that information over from the IRS and go ahead and get that done. So yes, you have to complete the FAFSA every year, and it opens on October 1.
All right. And then Tristina, hopefully you can answer this. I was approved for a payment plan with the first payment starting on September 15th. Does that count towards housing being paid for my daughter so she can move in on the 28th?
Yes, it does. So if you have, if you know you have enough financial aid to cover your tuition and housing, or enroll in a payment plan, you can move in when we have you move in on 26 and 27. That's perfectly fine. Can you guys hear me better?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So also too, I'm going to put the link to the payment plan for the Berkshire office, because I know there were some questions regarding the payment plan. So I'm gonna put that link in the chat. Okay.
All right.
There you go.
All right. And then Tristina, do you want to talk just a little bit about what it means having a path to payment before moving in?
So a path to payment is just realizing what's your path to payment. So we understand that tuition and housing fees are due on the 15th of August, but if you know that you have financial aid And for instance, if you have financial aid is not gonna cover everything, then we ask that you cut out-of-pocket costs are paid prior to you moving in. So you may have enough, like your bill may be $10,000 and you get like $8,000 in financial aid or scholarship or loans and things like that. So we ask that you pay the remaining $2,000 balance prior to moving in or enroll in a WSU payment plan.
Thank you. And then let's see. I think we answered quite a bit on how to start payment plans. If someone is moving in early, how will they know what they have to pay or what those charges look like?
So if you're moving in early, we select the move-in date. So once you check into the building, we have to select move-in date, and then our system automatically generates an extra amount that you have to pay. That amount will go into your e-bill, and it takes it won't export until that night. So you see it the following day on your e-bill or your student account.
Awesome. And Joy, can you talk a little bit more about work study and how that works, if it can be applied to housing and how students might apply for that?
Right, that's a really good question. So I did see someone said, if I do work study, can I apply that money towards my housing? So with the way that work study works, it's where you have a job on campus and you earn your award throughout the semester. So if you are offered $2,000 in work study, that means that over the course of the fall semester, you will be earning $2,000, and it's going to be broken down into how many hours you work, your wages, so on and so forth. So when you mention, can you use that money for your housing? Technically, you could. However, you have to realize is that you're not going to be able to just make a $500 payment towards your housing unless you save up all of your paychecks. So what we normally like to encourage our students to do is to use that work study funding for other, like for a cell phone bill, or maybe they have to pay for parking or gas costs, insurance costs, things like that, where they happen every month, opposed to something where housing, where that is one big chunk right at the beginning of the semester. And the reason why we say that is because with the way that the payment arrangement and everything is set up, if you aren't either in a payment plan or if you haven't paid your balance in its entirety, you can accrue late fees every month. So students who may be working and then saving and then paying on their housing or their tuition or whatever it may be with work study funding, if they are not in a payment plan, they could be accruing late fees while they are working towards paying on that. So we normally try to let students know that these are things that you would use for some of your indirect costs of college that happen, like paying for your cell phone, if you're commuting, paying for gas, insurance, if you are living off campus or in some of the housing. For housing, I don't know, do you still have housing where it's charged monthly like rent? I don't know if that's still a thing.
It's only for graduate students.
Okay. Well, remove that. So there are things that you can use work study funding for. And so you want to consider what's the best for you. So I know that that was a very long and drawn out answer, but basically what it comes down to is that we normally let students know that that money, you're going to earn it over the semester. So it's not going to be $2,000 that pay out to your account right at the beginning of the fall semester. It's something that you earn throughout August to December.
All right. Thank you, Joy and Tristina. So we are at the end of our half hour. And before we go, I just wanted to say, if you are looking for other sources of income, plenty of offices on campus are currently hiring within the Division of Student Auxiliary Services, where housing and residential life is. Many departments, including dining services and the bookstore, are starting at $12 an hour. And so we encourage you to reach out to them to apply for a job. And if you have any other questions, feel free to email us at housing@wayne.edu or give us a call at 313-577-2116. Thanks again.
Thank you.